right underneath the church there. That's St. Anthony's Garden. And you can see the statue of Jesus right there with his arms up. They're up like that. So we call him Touchdown Jesus. Looks like he's doing a touchdown. Yep.
We had one, so it got struck by lightning.
Oh, geez. All right.
Burn it down.
Damn.
Touchdown Jesus is no longer there.
Wow, that's wild. They brought it down. Just hit him. Shit. That hasn't happened here yet, but we've still got him. You can see the shadow up on the church. And he's also right next to the Pirates Alley Absinthe House, where if you want to get absinthe after the tour and meet the Green Fairy, that's a good spot to do that. You can also find the Trashy Divas lingerie shop over there. So that's our New Orleans Trinity for you. We've got Jesus, alcohol, Trashy Divas, all side by side having a good time. Now, back in the 1800s, that was a site in the garden there where they had a lot of duels. They had a lot of guys fighting each other about usually possession, something related to demonic possession, material possession, relationship possession, some kind of possession would piss them off. They would walk their 10 paces right there in front of Jesus and try to blow each other's brains out. Rough time. And they had the priests out there blessing them, reading them their last rites while they did it, trying to help them go on up through purgatory and right on up into heaven. So if you do see any of those religious figure ghosts around here, they're probably Catholic priests, because we are a Catholic city. The football team's named the Saints. That's for a reason. And our oldest, biggest Protestant cemetery was right over in the Central Business District, and they ended up paving over it. And they turned it into the parking lot of the Superdome.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they put the Saints right on top of the Protestants. So that is how Catholic New Orleans is, right there. Very Catholic. So this building here also has some historical significance to it. That whole pink mansion there, that's the Sultan's Palace. So the Sultan was a guy that was here in New Orleans around the 1830s. Came in and he told everybody he was the Sultan. He brought over a lot of gold, very rich guy, brought over a whole harem of women with him, and a lot of guards, most of which were eunuchs that he would have stationed right out in front of the mansion there to screen people, basically just to see who was cool enough to get into the party. So he had a party house there. And you could come by at that time. You would see a lot of people inside having a good time. Lots of exotic music playing. Lots of people cheering on the party. And also you would see and smell opium smoke, marijuana smoke. Lots of different things pouring out of the windows all through the night. And we are in the French Quarter. Weed's decriminalized here now, so if you really take a good sniff, you'll probably smell the weed still. And that's not just a ghost of it from that time. So, yeah, but the Sultan himself, he was not really the most morally upstanding individual. Not the best guy. But we are going to gather up at the front here so this group can get by, just clear a path. We've got another tour group coming through. Thank you. How's it going?
Yeah.
All right. So the Sultan, he was not a very good guy. And a lot of people even said that he had a human trafficking ring and was using the bar, the dungeon. Before it was a bar, he was using it as a real dungeon to keep the victims. But a lot of people did not know about that, so they still tried to get in here to party with him. And one day there was a guy that came right underneath this gallery here, and when he was walking right through about where we're all standing, he got hit right in the middle of the head with a big splatter of blood. And he didn't think it was a vampire party. He got pretty freaked out. So he walked around to the front, started banging on the front door, knowing that somebody was going to come out because it was a party house. There was always somebody there partying all hours of the day and night. But it was dead silent that night. So he got even more freaked out, and he ended up calling the police. And they got in here and they broke down the front door with a battering ram. When they got inside, they found a massacre. They found about 30 dead bodies inside. They found heads cut off, arms and legs scattered around, people out there just mangled on the gallery, splattering their blood back down into the street. And when they got into the courtyard around the other side of the mansion, they ended up finding the body of the Sultan himself with his arms sticking up out of the ground and his mouth open wide, full of dirt from having been buried alive. So they investigated it. They found out he was not a real sultan. He was an imposter. And there was a guy involved that was a real sultan, but this guy that lived here, he stole from him, robbed him, came back with a bunch of his stuff, some of his friends and guards. And when the real sultan figured out where this guy lived, which he did, he sent assassins all the way over from the Middle East to have everybody inside wiped out, regardless of whether they were responsible for the party or not. So if you come around here in the night, really starting around this time, you might hear some screams coming from inside the mansion. And it's up to you to decide, are they the screams of the people having a good time in the beginning at the party, or are they the screams of the people getting assassinated later on? And in New Orleans, sometimes you don't know which one you're going to get. You could get the good and the bad. You could get the pleasure or the pain. You don't know what it's going to be. So it's up to you to decide. And this is still privately owned. There's a guy that owns it all, pretty wealthy guy. Doesn't really party a whole lot because he probably doesn't want the same thing to end up happening to him. So other than the tours, it's usually a pretty calm area in the material plane, but not so much in the spiritual plane. So it's a very easy spot to find a ghost if you're out here. Really, starting now, they might be out here right now, or especially later in the night. So, anybody have any questions about the St. Louis Cathedral or the Sultan's Palace? All right, well, we're gonna head right back down on Dauphine once we get a little break in all the foot traffic there.